Hey friends, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to show you how I built this workbench that's been a great upgrade in my little one-car garage shop. This workbench is holding 9 different tools on it. It has a router table integrated on the flat top. And the reason I did it is because the old workbench just wasn't built for the same equipment that I currently own. So each time I start a project, it was just, I had to clean, sort, reorganize, and all that things. And it was just very inefficient. So I decided to change it up, and here's how it went. So one of the first tasks of this project was to get some 2x6s and 2x4s. Here I'm planing the 2x6 into a 5-inch width, and this will be what the base will be made of and most of the frame. The main size of the workbench is going to be 8 feet by 3 feet, so it's a nice, big enough I think for what I need. For the 8 feet sections, I'm just trimming them to 8 feet long because the boards are just over 8 foot long, so just use the circular saw. And then for the 3-foot sections, I'm just going to take it to the miter saw, chop it up, and make the base of the frame. Prior to starting the project, I did a design on AutoCAD, and you'll see here I'm making the base. And once the base is ready, I'll do the leg supports, and then there will be a miter saw flip top station, and obviously the workbench tabletop. But even though I have this design, there's going to be some changes and you'll see it in a bit. Since this is for my workbench, I'm going to be mainly using the Festool domino tenons and connectors throughout this project. Okay, unfortunately I forgot to press record while I was creating these support pieces. These will be vertically mounted onto the frame. Now they're essentially 2x4s with a domino tenon between them and wood glue so that they're pretty well stuck. One is recessed so that when I put it on the frame, I can put another 2x4 in such manner. Now currently I'm working on creating the holes for the domino tenons. You can see a hole there and a hole there, and essentially these pieces are connected. These holes are connected. That's how these connectors work. This is the magic of the domino connectors. We'll find out if it's actually really good. And then try to fit this in. It's in there. Then all I have to do is tighten the set screw, and this will be solid. Here's where I start installation of the main mechanism for the miter saw flip stop station. But right after I get this going, I decided to change the design and go with a different approach. So the main reason why I decided to change my design halfway through was one day I was scrolling Facebook Marketplace and I saw a Festool Capex come onto the market. It was at a decent price. It came with the rolling stand, it came with the extensions, and it's kind of hard to say no to, so I went, bit the bullet, paid the price for it, and started thinking, okay, what the hell do I do with my workbench? You know, I don't need a flipping top anymore because I have the rolling stand, extensions, and whatnot, so I had to change the design. I went with a straight flat top, bit easier than the original plan, but you know, now I only had a table saw, so I had to think of what else can I put on this workbench, and it made sense to integrate a router into it. So here I am kind of figuring out where I have to move that leg support so that I can make it. So same way with the 2x6s and 2x4s, I made a tabletop for it and decided to integrate a table saw and a router table, and that's the way this project goes for the rest of the build. So here I am, right after doing the necessary alterations to integrate the router table. I had to move the leg support a few inches. The biggest challenge about this workbench build was having to build it on top of my existing workbench inside my 8x15 woodworking single car garage. It was just a lot of moving parts and not enough space. So I'm at the stage where I've figured out most of the structure for the router table and the table saw support and the workbench. It's looking good. I put the tops on. I have everything, you know, everything is rigid. I use the connectors so that I can easily, you know, disassemble it if I need to. This is gonna hold my router table. There will be another plywood top that goes here, and I'll cut out and insert what you see up here, and that's where the router table will sit and will be flush with my workbench on the top. Now what I'm doing is I'm just attaching the tops with screws to hold down onto the frame, and then I'm gonna take it all apart, and it's the exciting part because I'm gonna get rid and demolish or get rid of this old workbench that I have. I'll keep the caster wheels and stuff, but most of the wood is we'll see if I can recycle some of the wood, use it for shop equipment, or you know, do something with it. But main thing I want to do is get it out of here. Same with the other table that the table saw is currently sitting on. That needs to also go so I can have much bigger space here. But yeah, most of the carcass is done for the workbench. As you can see, it's looking nice. It's all very rigid, and I really like this Domino 700 connectors. They're awesome to work with. And yeah, stay tuned. It's demolition derby today. And then went ahead and cleared everything out of the old workbench, and now I'm ready to do a demo on it. This old workbench was mainly put together using framing nails, so the recip saw was the way to go for the demo. Here's the greatest tool shuffle in my little studio. Finally, out with the old and in with the new. To make my workbench real sturdy, I'm adding a 3/4 sheet of plywood to the bottom frame. This will help by counteracting any forces that might try to make the 2x6s bend over time and whatnot.
Giant skateboard.
Utilizing the domino connectors makes it as easy as stacking Legos. It's the same idea here. I'm putting a 3/4 sheet of plywood on top of the frames so I can get that sturdiness and installing them using the domino connectors. I gotta say though, that's a lot of weight trying to lift these tops and put them in the right positions. My workbench is 41 inches tall because I'm 6'6", so I made it really tall so I have to like bend over and do stuff on the workbench. So it's a big challenge, but I know it will be worth it. Here I'm making a cutout for the router table using my jigsaw. It went well for the most part, but in some cases I think the blade was deflecting a bit, so it didn't give me a perfect straight edge. In hindsight, I think I should have used the track saw.
Oh. 3 1/4 inch short.
Right here I realize I'm about 3 1/4 inch short, but it's no big deal. Just put a little bit more material underneath and the table came out nice and flush. So here is the final transformation of my shop and my workbench. It's honestly looking like night and day. I'm able to organize it much more efficient this time, and I've managed to integrate lots of tools onto this bench. There's the table saw, oscillating sander, steam machine in the back. I got a planer, a welder, of course the router table, and I have a jointer underneath, a scroll saw beside it, and then another drill press behind it. So lots of work done. Very happy with it. There's still some minor changes I would like to do, maybe additions I should say, not changes, but let's leave that for a part 2. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time.